How about now? Yay? Ah, okay. Oh, that was sketchy. Okay, hey Faber. Hey Paula. Hi Jan. Or as Rooker calls you, Jan. Um, Hi Huey. Okay, perfect. Okay, yes, that was a bit scary, but yeah, it's if you're using Safari, if you're using the browser Safari, I actually suggest maybe trying Google Chrome. You might get a better reception. That's what's been going on for me. I think Webinar Jam doesn't work great with Safari anymore. Okay, so technical details out of the way. I see some of you, and some of you are already in the program. But this question is really, this webinar, this discussion is really meant to answer any questions or address any concerns you have about joining me for functional probiotics, and also to just go through any other questions that we've received, because we have received a plethora of questions, which we do every time we sort of secretly open this up to this small group. And people tend to send a lot of questions, even including people that are in the program. So I thought it would be worthy to just do a bit of Q&A. I'm slowly archiving all of the Q&As, and to also the Qs that I haven't had time to answer yet, because some of this gut stuff gets complicated, and it's really important to be able to just take a step back, take the helicopter view, and have a good look at what's actually going on, and see if there can be, yeah, Jan, there's a replay. And see if there can be like a very clear step-by-step, what needs to be done first, what needs to be done later, what makes the most sense. So yeah, I thought that we could start with just quickly a reminder. And for those of you that are in the program, this is for you too, a reminder of why we're doing this. I created this program because I'm seeing a lot, even in the functional medicine world, people go and get gut tests, and then they're just given a bunch of like oil of oregano or some kind of solution, and it's for a period of 3 to 6 weeks, and then they're supposed to be all fixed. And I'm here to tell you that there is no fixed. It's not like we're going to get to a point of homeostasis. Like, who wants to be in stasis, where your gut bugs are like right and it's managed, and we just take a bunch of antibiotics, even with a functional medicine practitioner, and then it's supposed to be better. And none of them are really addressing changing the gut environment and really taking a look at which bacteria are actually there before we start killing them off. It's really sad for me, because people will continue to go on these kind of protocols, these killing protocols, and then do it again and again and again, and not actually change the phenomenon that's happening, right? So they'll knock down the quote unquote bad bacteria to a certain level, and then everything just continues to regrow in the same imbalance that's been going on. And I can't let this go on anymore. Like, we need to do something about this situation. People are not addressing both balancing the bacteria and changing the environment in the gut. If we don't change the environment in the gut, everything is going to just stay the same and keep on going in the same cycle. And if we don't really change the bacteria, if we just like kill the bad ones, it's not doing anything, right? It's not doing anything. So let's go with a few questions. Let's go with some first possible. So Rooker, I know that you have a collection of questions. But yeah, Favor. So the thing about this is that you can't actually talk, so you have to type your question in, and I can choose if I want to answer it. Yeah, so if you do have a question, there's a bit of a delay. So go ahead and type it into the question or the chat area. Yeah, and then we can address them as they come up. Can probiotic help biofilm? Okay, so What is biofilm? I know there's a delay, but give me what biofilm is. Type it in there. So yes, it can. The deal with biofilm is that it's generally like a yeast and a bacteria together that have made a protective biofilm so that they are safe and they will continue to grow and to propagate in this safe environment. And so there are all sorts of biofilms. You'll hear like enlightened practitioners say that there are good and bad biofilms. And I just think, there are biofilms. It is what it is. Whatever is there is going to make a biofilm, basically. And biofilms can be very tenacious. It's just the way that the bacteria can secure a colony for themselves. You can have a biofilm in your sinuses. You can have biofilm in your gut, of course, and in many different parts of your body, and in the environment. That's what a SCOBY is. That's what those kefir grains are. It's biofilm. So a probiotic, through changing the gut inhabitants, can over time change the makeup of the biofilm, right? I don't know if you've ever made kombucha or made kefir and then had kind of the grains kind of disintegrate, and then maybe you can get them used to whatever you're feeding them, it changes. But long story short, probiotics on their own are not enough, I believe, to break up a biofilm. I like to not focus too much on fear of biofilm, because there's a big it's a marketing thing going on the internet where it's like, you have biofilm, you need this product. I don't like to focus on that. But when it gets to if the person's working with the probiotics, they change the food so that they're feeding, the bacteria that they want in their gut and not the others. They're working on sort of holistically changing their gut environment, and there is still some kind of a tenacious biofilm going on. Yeah, then I like to use the biofilm disruptors, which are enzymes, which are made by bacteria. So that's another way that probiotics help biofilms, is that they make enzyme that basically eat up the biofilm so that they can then, help to create a new one. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Favor. Let's take a quick look here. I'm sensitive to nuts and seeds. Why is the substitute for making starter apart from coconut water or milk? Right, so you can make a starter out of anything, Favor. So if you're using bacteria to balance out your gut flora or your client's gut flora, you need to find something that they're not allergic to, and that doesn't raise their blood sugar. And so that might be a different kind of nut or seed. It might be, I don't know, a curly kale. It might be a whole bunch of things. So you need to just find something that has protein, carbohydrates, and water, right? You're going to have mostly water to make your starter. Yeah, those are the things that it needs: protein, carbohydrates. I like to have a variety of carbohydrates from real food. Yeah, and water. And that's the deal. Yeah, I figured the question was what. Okay, so let's go to Janet. Right. Okay, so Janet, you're talking about the 401H test. And I just want to say I've never seen a 5 on that test. So 4+ tends to be the highest thing that I see. Yeah, and the Enterobacter, the one thing about them is they can become quite easily resistant to things. And so it depends on what else is on the test. But yeah, and so that's just a type of Enterobacter that's there. So Enterobacter is how there's a genus and a species, right? So it's actually the genus, but we always just say Enterobacter. A lot of the different types of Enterobacter have been associated with ulcerative colitis and things like that. And the deal with them is that they can be very difficult to get rid of through conventional methods, because conventional method is choose one antibiotic, be a herbal antibiotic or a pharmaceutical, right? some kind of concentrated antibacteria thing. Take that for X time, see if Enterobacter is still there, right? But so what I encourage is doing a rotation, especially for bacteria like Enterobacter. So Citrobacter is also another type of Enterobacter. But yeah, this particular one is one that does show up on quite a few of the 401H tests. And again, I've never seen a 5. 4+ is kind of like the high amount. And so what I would assume with that, because there has to be a certain amount of trial and error, what I would assume with that is that the other bacteria in the gut have a better likelihood of being resistant to whatever it is that the person has taken in the past. If they've taken oil of oregano for a month or 2, I wouldn't even bother with that. Because what Enterobacter can do is become resistant to something and then have a little meeting and share that with all the other bacteria in the gut and say like, hey, well, guess what? This is oil of oregano. This is what you need to fight it. Here you go. So then it makes it even more difficult for whatever other bacteria is in there to balance those out. All right. Thanks, Janet. That's a really good question. I'm excited that you have like a test specific question. So Gail says, if someone has a sensitivity to molds or fungi, is it safe for them to take a spore-based probiotic such as Megaspore? Right. So the bacillus are not a yeast. Right. So it's important to make the distinction between the different types of bacteria and yeasts. The bacillus are a bacteria. They're not a yeast. So I actually I don't feel super safe about doing Megaspore early on with most people. Most people come to me when they're already having some kind of immune reaction to something. And what the deal is with the Megaspore, it's not the spore part, but it's the lipopolysaccharides that they produce. And so basically these are particles that are not supposed to go through into the body, but with someone with leaky gut, we know that things can go through. And quite often, you know, especially in the kidneys and the brain, there are different areas of the body where the body will react to something called lipopolysaccharides. It can actually cause kidney damage and other nervous system issues as well. But so yeah, lipopolysaccharides. The bacteria in Megaspore, while they've been shown to help heal the gut and all sorts of great things, they also produce lipopolysaccharides. And if the person is in a situation where they're already reacting to those, then you give them Megaspore, no matter how many great studies there are on it, you're going to find that some of their autoimmune symptoms can get worse, okay, which sucks. And that's not why they came to you. So that's why I'm super big on having a strategy to strategically to build up the gut flora in the safest way possible. You know, I know that you've probably heard me talk about bifidum, but like I totally start with that, and it's just broken record here, but no joke. We want to work on the ability to heal the gut sometimes before we add back in those things that can possibly cause our clients to react. It's just part of being responsible. Yeah. That being said, I think it's a great product for someone who's already done a bit of gut work. Yeah. And it's not the same for everybody, right? So it depends on your client. It's trial and error. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is trial and error with these kind of probiotics. I've just had people react to them enough times that I do the trial and error later on in the process. If there is an itch that happens intermittently under the foot, so it can easily be a yeast or fungus. It can easily be that. Sure. It could be a lot of things. Could be a lot of things. I've actually had someone with like an old spider bite that was a problem. Yeah, it's very hard to say for sure what it could be. Yeah, but yeah, definitely a possibility for it to be yeast. I like to do the organic acid test. I like to do something a bit more telling about the yeasts and fungi before jumping to that conclusion. So I'm going to go in the shade because I feel it's a bit hot for my computer there. You can see it's lagging because it's stressed out. Yeah, So if there's any more information, any more like body symptoms that the person's having, yeah, you can let me know, and maybe we can talk about that a bit better. So Rooker says, one person emailed about H. pylori, a client who has tested negative but has the symptoms. How much will be covered in the program about this? So it depends on the test. It really depends on the test. So a lot of the tests, the breath tests that we get done, I don't find them all that conclusive. And even some of the stool tests that you can do for H. pylori can false negative. It can be false negative. I heard the phrase false positive today, and it's like, no, false negative. Okay, so it can be false negative. So I've run a lot of these tests side by side, and that's why I like the BioHealth 401H test for H. pylori. I find it to be the most sensitive. So other ones will come up negative, and this one will come up with it. And if it's a person who's experiencing any of the symptoms of like gastric reflux or low stomach acid or bloating or anything lower down in the GI too, and they have H. It's something that should be dealt with. And it doesn't matter to me if people say that it's normal and it's no big deal. If the person has symptoms, if they're having trouble digesting their food, then to me that's a big deal. And H. pylori is a part of that overall picture. So I guess to you, I would say run the test, the 401H test, and then see what that says. There is quite a bit about H. pylori covered in the program because I do think that it's a very important bacteria. I'd say it's a disproportionately large amount of the program considering that it's just one type of bacteria. But because they're a spirochete and because they can be difficult to access and because the conventional treatments are sometimes at best 40% effective with a lot of side effects, I feel it's very important that we cover this bacteria. Yeah, let me know if that helped if you're here on the call. Can you heal Candida with this protocol? Definitely, again, there's a disproportionate amount of the program that's dedicated to Candida. And from my perspective, to get rid of Candida, again, we need to change the environment. Like, yes, you need to change what the person's eating, but also work on their body's ability to resist Candida. Work on increasing the bifidobacterium and work on hormonal imbalances that affect Candida. Work on the mineral balance, not just getting rid of, the bad metals, but working on the mineral balance of the body so it's actually able to detoxify Candida on a regular basis. Because we are in a world with Candida. There are natural yeasts all around us, and there's Candida in our bodies that is going to be with us, until we die. And it's a matter of our immune system being able to react appropriately, not overreact or underreact to Candida, because Candida can also kind of shut off our immunity to some degree. So there is kind of a big picture. There's a lot going on there. Yeah, and there's a big portion of the program dedicated to that. So that being said, healing, who knows what that is, healing from Candida, but working to a state where Candida is not affecting a person's health can take some time. It can take some time. And so it's very important to be able to take, like I kind of have a 5-step system for Candida. It's very important to be able to develop either your own system or use mine or use something that's very, people do want it step by step. They want to know what to do because it can feel really overwhelming, especially when you're telling them like, oh, hey, you haven't been doing enough. This is just not come off very well. So yeah, I hope that helps. You can go ahead and type something else. Yes, so Joe, absolutely. For someone starting out with probiotics, is custom probiotics 5-strain bifido a good one to try? Yes, and the reason is that it is both the safest and the most impactful in that it can help with hormone balance. It can help with gut healing. It helps, those bifidobacteria help to support a colony of bacteria that make, there's so many bacteria that the bifido support. They're kind of like the grandfather of the large intestine. And they basically support a colony of bacteria that can help heal the gut. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so now I'm going to go to some more new questions. Thank you for these. These are actually fantastic questions. If someone has Candida and SIBO, which strain of probiotics should be used? So again, there is a certain amount of trial and error, but the safest one would be any of the bifidobacteria. That's why I like to start with that, right? That's step one. And then from there, you need to work on, see whether it's how the Candida is affecting them. Is it affecting them in a histamine way? Which other bacteria are there with the Candida? To then kind of move on to what would be next. With the SIBO, you really have to change the environment of the small intestine so that the bacteria don't think it's the large intestine anymore. That's a big part of it also. So there are multi-steps. I prefer to work on SIBO first, to be quite honest, because we were just talking about how long Candida takes. I prefer to work on SIBO first because a lot of those SIBO bacteria actually can feed the yeasts like Candida. So it just is a bit more leverage to do it in that order. When you say water, are there counterindications in using tap water and using mountain water? So in the water, just make sure that you have a good, clean source of water. And just like get that chlorine and fluoride and other things out of your water. Have the cleanest water that you can get. That's it, right? I really nerd out on my water. But water is not something that we talk about a lot in the program, but it keeps coming back almost every module because there are a lot of questions about water. Yeah. But for now, let's just say have the cleanest water possible, right? Oh, it's Paulo, not Paula. Okay, so one person asked by email how the mentoring calls look and what the syndicate is like. Okay, so to be quite honest, the syndicate is a bunch of nerds. It really is. But really, we're working to create a learning community. We're working to create a community of learners. And I will say that a good third of people in this program are working professionals that use this in their business on a day-to-day basis. Okay, there's probably about a third of people that are starting up health coaches that use it on a week-to-week basis, and so we're actually using this information. So people will come on and they'll ask questions about, gosh, anything. They'll say, I had a client, this is what happened. What's your experience? And then we'll kind of share experiences around that. Yeah, so that's the syndicate. I would like to continue to have it grow to the point where we're all able to sort of present studies to each other on a monthly basis. That's my goal. So we can really keep on top of what the new developments are that are going to affect, gut microbial balance and our understanding of it. The new products, doing some reviews, what we think of this, what we think of that, if we think this was a good study or not, and why. Because it's very hard to, there's hundreds, thousands, there's things coming out every day, right? And it's very hard to keep on top of which things are actually relevant. Yeah, so that's my vision for the syndicate, and that's how the syndicate is acting right now. The mentoring calls, they look a little bit like this, actually. I tend to do a bit more content specific, so I'll pick a module and I'll go a little bit in depth, just with a bit more information about things, because there's always new stuff like we were talking about. And I always have a fresh perspective also, right? So a little bit of content and then a lot of questions, and good questions, like these questions. Yeah, what about lichen formis, which is in megaspore? So same thing as I said. Sarah wants to know if there are any specific bacteria that are good for hair regrowth. And I think she was saying bifidobacteria, but her spell check corrected her. Indirectly, absolutely, right? Because if we're able to absorb our minerals, if our clients are able to absorb their minerals, if they're not having like an immune imbalance, there's a better chance that they're going to have nice hair. right? And I'm making a joke about it, but we need vitamin A, we need biotin, we need, B vitamins, the whole spectrum. We need minerals, we need protein, we need all this stuff to have good hair. And this is a question that comes up a lot. Hair is like a big issue for people. So someone could actually make a program based on the information in my program. You can make a program like a keep your hair healthy program or something like that. Please call it something better than that. And actually go through like the nutrients that they need, how to absorb the nutrients by having great gut bacteria, like things like that. Because it's really not being talked about. It's just like, here, go take some biotin. Get your thyroid checked. Like, duh, we all know that now. That's like why we're here. Next level. Yes. So again, are cold hands and feet a symptom of autoimmunity, and will healing the gut help? So again, it could be a lot of things, but definitely the gut is very connected to the thyroid. Okay, and if there are other thyroid symptoms going on, I would definitely want to look into that. And then it is my personal opinion that without healing the gut, without good absorption, without reducing the inflammation that's caused by imbalanced gut flora, that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to quote unquote heal the thyroid, right? Yeah, so keeping in mind, we're not healing anything here, right? We are just talking about gut bacteria and how to balance them out, right? Yeah, it's very important distinction. And that's something that can set you apart from other people as well. Okay. Okay. I have one more content-y question, and I get this one all the time, so I am going to answer this. Is it true that you should get rid of candida before taking any probiotic foods or supplements? Since I heard that probiotics can proliferate the growth of candida. I made kombucha and it caused itching in vaginal area and redness. Okay. Yes. Okay. A, kombucha has candida in it, so don't drink that. I would actually say for most people, don't drink that. Unless you're making a really kind of concentrated, some kind of extraction of something using kombucha, whatever. Like it's not the type of thing to even make at home and drink en masse. That being said, yeah, so it has candida in it. It needs to have candida to work. So don't drink it. Step one. So step two is discover if the immune system is reacting to yeasts. If the immune system is reacting to yeasts, then avoid other fermented foods. And by fermented foods, I mean wine, cheese, cultured like sauerkraut, kimchi, wild cultured sodas, because those things all have wild yeasts. And if the immune system's reacting to yeast, then you're going to want to avoid yeast. Even though they're different yeasts, the immune system's just going to be like, oh boy, here we go again. And you, like, symptoms can get worse. But fermented foods do not feed candida. That is just like total internet bull poop. Fermented foods do not feed candida. It's incorrect. Fermented foods can be a trigger for people who react to yeasts. Okay? So yeah, there you go. One thing that isn't bull poop that you might read on the internet is like that herbal teas and mushrooms will have yeasts on them. So mushrooms are both, it's so complicated. They're a fungus. They're also kind of antifungal to protect themselves from other fungi in the forest, and yeasts can grow on them, yeasts and molds. So yeah, I might avoid those. And I might avoid nuts and seeds and things that have been stored in an not ideal way, right? So that yeast and molds might be on the nuts and seeds as well, and on herbal teas. For a person who's really reacting to yeasts and molds and fungi, then I would avoid those for sure. But again, they're not feeding candida. It's just causing an immune reaction. Thank you for giving me a chance to clarify that. I love that question. What do you do on a daily basis not to have candida? Okay, so first of all, I like to really assess whether candida is the issue, right? And this is something that we get into more in the program. It's just different types of assessment and which ones are most effective for candida. But so first of all, you need to assess whether candida is really the issue. You need to do something about it. So that whole 5-part system that I'm talking about, like balancing the minerals, changing the environment, breaking down the biofilm, replacing the yeasts and discouraging them, kind of thing, along with killing the candida, right, if that's necessary. And if you're going to do anything like that, make sure that you have, I'm just going to give you a free, molybdenum. Make sure you have enough molybdenum and zinc, and you want to be able to detox the yeast properly. So that's why I'm saying that. And then on a day-to-day basis, it should be, you should be able to get to a place where your immune system can handle the yeasts in regular life, right? So you're not having to avoid herbal tea or whatever, or sauerkraut. You're not eating cupcakes. Like, if anyone wants to eat cupcakes, like, please get off this webinar right now. Right? But you're not doing that. So on a day-to-day basis, I like to make sure that my minerals are good, that my probiotics in my gut are good, so that I have a natural resistance to yeast. And I like to make sure that I'm eating diverse food, so that I have as many minerals and my absorption is as good as possible. And I like to continue to work on quote unquote leaky gut. I like to continue to work on my gut's capacity to heal and heal again and heal again as it kind of suffers the traumas of just regular eating. And that prevents my body from reacting to yeasts that are in the foods that I'm eating. And I hope that that's, there's a lot more about this in the program, of course. But for now, I hope that that's enough to go on. Thank you, Carol. Brilliant comments on the Megaspore stuff. I love Megaspore. So it's a great product. Yeah, it's just everything has its time and place. You got to remember, your clients are going to come to you. They've seen stuff on the internet. They're like, I'm trying to do 800 things in a day because Dr. Oz told me to do this, and I read this about this, and like, you are going to be able to piece together a plan for them to get their gut in order. Like, this is the plan. It's not like we're doing bone broth and we're having sauerkraut and we're blah, 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 all at the same time, and we're going to see like an acupuncturist and a naturopath and like all these different professionals. They just need a plan to sort through all of this stuff, right? A brand of probiotic that contains bacteria. Or you can choose their Bifidum infantis or one of their other separated bifidos. I like the 5-strain bifido. It's very concentrated. So when you go and you see the price, please do not pass out and fall on the floor. It is more expensive, but you are getting like 400 billion of those guys, as opposed to like the most that I can see in like the critical care probiotics, or the most that's actually Bifidum. Critical care or Flora Restore is all like 50 billion. You're paying $80 for those ones to get 50 billion, or you're paying over 100 to get like up to 320 billion in each scoop. Plus you can use it to culture foods. Okay. And it's a very clean product. I want to get a probiotic that's like dairy-free and gluten-free for myself and for my clients, because they care. Best test for SIBO. You can get some on Direct Labs right now. I will say to please go for like the longer test, the 10 vial test, something over more time. We get more into this in the program. I find it more relevant to test for which bacteria are causing the problem, rather than to test for how much the problem is, whether it gets to the level where a doctor might diagnose it as SIBO. That doesn't mean anything to me. What I want to know is what's causing the problem and what we can do to restore balance. A client with Enterobacter had no other boxes checked. Fascinating. Would the protocols in the NEPT program in the digestive unit be a good place to start? You know what? So Janet, so this stuff, I will say, this is the stuff in my program is stuff that is not covered in the NEPT program, because when people do those protocols from the NEPT program, if there's SIBO, or if there's, real history of gut issues, ulcerative colitis, really long-term leaky gut kind of thing, it's not necessarily enough. It's a great place to start. And if it's causing your client to have symptoms, sign up for my program. The Enterobacter can be very commonly associated with SIBO. And as much as I just said, I don't like to talk about SIBO like that. That's when those kind of gut protocols are gonna be more difficult to put together, because you need to get more bacteria specific. See how they feel on different foods. If they're willing to do like a food elimination at some point, I feel like that's almost essential with this. Yeah, so that's awesome. So Gail, would Saccharomyces boulardii and Lactobacillus plantarum along with Bifido be a good start for ulcerative? Yeah. Yes, but I would start with the Bifido. The Saccharomyces boulardii, we have to remember, is a yeast. So I like to just start that way later. But yeah, the plantarum is great too, but I would also start that a little bit later. And you got to know what's going on in the gut. Like, yes, which foods they're reacting to, but which bacteria are in there so that you can start to restore some balance in a situation like that. Oh, is it cutting in and out? There will be a replay. Yes. So Rooker says, question by email. In the program, do you go into testing? And what to do and when for clients? Yes, that is pretty much the whole program. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we need to know, in my opinion, what you're dealing with first, and then be able to make a plan, and then be able to measure the effectiveness of the plan and tweak it. Okay, because there is a certain amount of trial and error with everything, even when you go to the doctor, right? But we want to be able to measure what we're doing. And I don't find it very possible to measure what we're doing without good testing. Yeah. And I find that different tests are better for the different bacteria, right? So like one test might be great if a client sort of has the symptoms of H. pylori. Then you would send them for that 401H test that I was talking about. But different tests are going to be good for different types of bacteria. So a lot of questions about SIBO. Should you stay away from probiotic foods? Are fermented foods safe? Or will they cause more reaction? Again, in my philosophy, SIBO is not a one thing. SIBO is a variety of different things that can cause a very similar result on that test, right? So a variety of different bacteria in imbalances. And so sometimes it's a matter of finding the correct fermented food for that person, or having a more controlled fermented food. I certainly, if anybody's been diagnosed with SIBO, I wouldn't start them on any kind of wild yeast or sauerkraut or fermented ginger soda or like any of that kind of stuff. No kimchi, no pickles, because those things, you can't really know which bacteria are in there. So I like to do a more controlled and customized ferment, which is really what I've built my business on. And I believe that there are enough people out there that need help that you can build your business with that too. As a part, I just really get off on customizing things for people. And I'm sure that you probably do too. And as a part of customizing, how cool is it to be able to customize which bacteria are going to be appropriate to ferment a food with for your client, to make the food more digestible, to help them rebalance their gut. Yeah, and to help them get nutrients. I mean, it's awesome. Okay, the custom probiotics 5-strain bifidobacteria. Rooker did read your mind. That was fascinating. What probiotic can we give a child that doesn't eat veggies? What other thing to do? Ooh, you know what? I'm really into this. I'm like really like there are a lot of reasons why kids don't eat veggies, and a lot of them are nutritional and neurological and gut related. But I will say that the bifidobacteria, Bifidum infantis specifically, and the Lactobacillus reuteri, EREUTERI. There we go. Those are two that are commonly used with kids and that I like to use with kids. But yeah, I would look very deeply into this, actually. It's a soft spot for me, is kids. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Thanks, Janet. Okay. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy's joined the program. Yeah, I'm forgetting to talk about how this stuff is in the program, right? So I can answer questions to you for like a certain amount. But really, I want you to be able to do this for people. I want you to be able to do this for people. Because we need this. We need this. You know, and one thing that I am seeing is like the knowledge is there, but it's not organized. You know, sifting through them and curating information in a way that it's actually usable, which through this program you can do for your clients, right? And it gives them a lot of confidence to be able to say, you know what, I've seen this before. This is the best test for this. Once we know what's going on, these are the steps we're going to take. Because no one else is going to do that for them. No one else is going to take the time, and no one else is going to have the knowledge and the skills that you have. Joe, you do not need a yogurt starter to make yogurt with the 5-strain bifidum. It won't taste quite the same as some of the yogurts, but it will taste, you know, like a yogurt. It'll taste like a yogurt. If you're using a scoop of the custom probiotics powder in a liter, you're going to be able to ferment that quite well. Remember, they double every half hour, so don't go too far. Brooke and I are really into starters. You know, I do talk about this more in the program. Yeah, and you do get also some pretty sweet bonuses when you sign up for this time. I don't think I'm going to do any small launches for this anymore. We've tested out the launch enough. I'm going to be doing big launches with other people. There's going to be affiliate commissions. The investment's going to go up. And the bonuses may change. They're definitely going to change. But so for now, a lot of these things are included in the bonuses. Like how to make a starter from a starter and save more money and stuff like that. Yeah. Hey, Carol. Right. Oh, right. Susan registered for the program too. What happens when the program is over? Well, the syndicate happens. I am, like, to be super straight with you, I am working on another program that incorporates the gut bacteria and their reaction with our chemistry. So, like, how does it work that our gut bacteria make us depressed? How does it work that our gut bacteria can lower thyroid function? So yeah, that is something that I'm working on, to be super straight with you. But what is definitely happening after the program is that we're remaining in the syndicate. We are a community of learners. We are bouncing ideas off of each other. I'm still, like, I will not abandon you. I'm still helping people to incorporate this kind of thing into their programs. Anybody who's signed up for, there's a level with a bit more mentorship. We're actually help you to incorporate this into the offerings that you have for your clients, and actually to design a program like this program for your clients as well. So, like, some of these things take longer. but yeah, if you're using this in your work and you have questions, I'm here. Like, I'm not going to abandon you. My goal is to have this out there. Yeah, you stay in the group. I do want to have something in the future where the group, where you need to actually, like, read a study and present it to the group, or do a case study at least once a year, so that I know that you're active. But I haven't implemented that yet. Yeah. Okay, workers posting about the group. He's on it. Yeah, customprobiotics.com. Where you can buy that. Oh, thank you, Nancy. Laura's drinking yucky almond milk and she had no symptoms. Right. Well, okay, but so there's this whole fear of bacteria, and I guess you're over it. Because yeah, you ferment something, there's going to be bacteria. Chances are that they're good bacteria. There's less than like 2% of bacteria that can really harm you, but that's a risk that, yeah, I like to know which bacteria I'm fermenting, but I'm just really into customizing stuff too. Laura, you're so funny. If anybody's reading the comments, they'll understand what I'm talking about. You're not good at making the yogurts. How can you learn it? So I really recommend at least making it a few times so that you can present it to your tribe. But once you know the steps of how to do it, like really just get yourself a PDF that you can hand to people, or hand out a free gift, something or other, so that they know exactly what to do. So it's like, this is how you choose the right bacteria for you. This is how you put it into a starter. This is how you make that into a yogurt. And then this is how you make that into a salad dressing or a dip or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we talk about that more in like the food based parts of the program, but, or food-based programs that I have. But we do go into that a little bit. But yeah, I really recommend having some kind of a handout or a free gift, to explain it to people, because you can't be showing them constantly, but it's important, I think, to know how to make this stuff before you're teaching it. So it should be safe to take the 5-strain bifido if you have Candida or SIBO. I would say it's almost always safe with Candida. Again, who knows? It just is a person-to-person thing. It's the safest one. I've only ever had one person react to it. And by react, I mean they got gas and bloating, and so they stopped taking it. What I like to do with the SIBO is start with the very smallest amount of the bifido that you can manage. So that one will come with a teeny weeny little scoop and like a normal scoop. The normal scoop's like a 1/4 teaspoon. So then you go with a teeny weeny, it's like a 32nd of a teaspoon kind of thing. Start with that and then have them work up. If the small intestine environment is very compromised, where you want the bifido to really do all of this, magic that we're talking about is the large intestine. And I hate to say it, but the large intestine is an accessible organ. Okay. There's like an entrance from the outside of our body. We can make like suppositories. You can help your clients do things in a very non-linear way, and sometimes that's the only way to get the bifidobacteria into the body without having them stop in the small intestine. So then we need to work on the small intestine environment and then try the bifido again. Doesn't matter. We still need the bifido, right? It's not like, oh, that one's not right for me. It's like, oh, it's not time yet. Do some work, come back and try again, because we need it, because we're eating Western food 3 times a day, 2 times a day. We need the bifidobacteria to help us digest the stuff, keep our blood sugar under control, help us sleep, help us detox hormones, help us keep the yeast down. We need that stuff. So it's about getting your clients to the place where they can tolerate the bifido. And that is something that we really go into in the program. Okay, Gail. Okay, I'm going to just take a couple more sort of content questions. So with Lyme, I know that healing the gut is important, but is the best approach in dealing with all of the co-infections that go along with do you work on bifido and then biofilms, or is there a better approach? Yeah, so I always continue to heal the gut over and over again. A lot of the protocols that I work with for H. pylori are very similar to Lyme protocols, because the bacteria are spirochetes, right? And there are a lot of people that have SIBO and Lyme. Like, this is a very common thing. And who cares which one leads to the other? Because it's very often the same steps that you need to take to deal with both of them. I'm really heavy into rotating herbs or any kind of thing that you're taking that has a strong antifungal effect. Yeah, for any spirochete and any bacteria that's disturbing the small intestine. Okay, so guest says, when the bloating and gas subsides, is that a sign that the gut is healed? It's a sign that the bacteria are not eating your food anymore because you're able to digest it better. because what causes gas is bacteria and yeasts, right? They're making gas. It's the only thing that can make gas. You know, you can say it's a liver problem because the liver's not producing enough bile or digesting the fats well enough, and then the bacteria eat them and make gas. But the bacteria are the only thing that's going to make gas. Okay, so it's a very good sign, yes. But I do feel like we know to a place where the gut is healed. I feel like we're not in stasis again, right? Like I feel like we're in a dynamic place of moving through, you know, stress will cause leaky gut. Eating too much food will cause leaky gut. Going on a trip is going to like upset your microbial balance. Like, so it's about having a new normal and being in resilient flux with that. So Laura, you're in analysis paralysis. So would you work on the H. pylori or work on the SIBO after the Lyme or the H. pylori? So again, I would find the things that are going to benefit most of these things. And then I would go after the SIBO first. Because we can't digest our food or absorb our nutrients, nothing else is going to work. I repeat, if we cannot digest our food, if we cannot absorb our nutrients, if we are doing something on a day-to-day base, eating, that's causing inflammation via gut bacteria, nothing else is going to work, right? You can do the fanciest Lyme protocol. You can like do this crazy thyroid stuff. You can take seaweed until the cows come home, but it's not going to work because if we can't absorb something from our food, we can't absorb it from a supplement either. I will get off of my soapbox and answer one more question. Is my course offered throughout the year? I'm working on my FDN, but would love to explore when I'm finished. I will offer it again. Again, the offer will change. Yeah, it will certainly change. Yep, so leaky gut and then SIBO, and then maybe leaky gut again, and then SIBO. Like it's kind of a cycle, and then maybe Lyme. Yeah. So yeah, please go to the link, check out the program. Yeah, it is going to go away. I don't like to just continually offer this because it is, you know, it's a lot of output from the people that work for me and for myself to continue to offer it. I'm going to change the offer next time, and it's going to be, yeah, through affiliates. You should know that anything that I offer in the future with this program, you're going to get access to. So not only do you get access to the program, but you get like all the upgrades and you get quote unquote lifetime. So if there's the apocalypse and there's no internet, then the program's probably going to go away. But other than that, so you're going to get access to this continually and to all the new things that I add to it, and to this community, which is awesome. Yeah. Yeah, you can join later. The investment's going to change and the bonuses are going to change. Yeah. Yeah. So just go to the link, Rooker. We're offering it for, can you type in there, please? Thank you. Yeah. So I'm not doing a good typing right now. Yeah. So I really hope that has answered your questions. I would love for you to join me in the program. We're getting started in a couple weeks. We're going to have a call coming up. There's more and more that I'm adding. There are things that are even on the page because I'm the mad scientist of adding stuff. And I really think that that's cool. If you join and you think you'd be a great case study, or I think you have a great case study, I'd love to work with you on that. Because that's a part of the program that I'm continuing to build. We've got some great interviews that I've added that aren't even on there. We've got Dr. Tom O'Brien. We've got a great interview with a Chinese medicine practitioner that I did just last week, trying to explain, you know, the difference between the Western spleen and the Chinese medicine spleen, like just really got into that and how they would be treating the gut bacteria, but how they would maybe talk about it differently. Yeah, the difference between the pro version and the regular option is that in the pro version, I've actually added, so there's a VIP day, and there are a bunch of sessions where I'm going to help you to take this information and actually add it to your programs. So help you to like design a program that also incorporates all of the information on digestive balancing that you learn in this course. Because what I have found is because we are such a community of nerds, there are a lot of people that just gather the information and don't act on it. So if you really want to actually like invest in the program and like make your investment back by selling another program, that's the way to do it. So to sign up for the pro version so that you can then actually have something like, I believe it's $29.97 right now. And so then really like you just make a program and you're actually using the information that you learned, you're incorporating it. Yeah. And you have a product to sell. And then I get the satisfaction of knowing that people are using the information for the greater good. Yeah. Pro has one-on-one, and it's like, it's business one-on-one. It's curriculum design, which is really my first love, actually. Yeah. Okay. So yes, I know I'm going to love you too. I love everyone who's in the program. I'm very excited to build this community. Again, we're a community of learners. If you don't want to keep learning, please don't sign up. This is kind of a one-time offer. Things are going to change with my business. They're changing very quickly. As I get myself together with my work-life balance and as we continue to grow. So yeah, please take advantage of this opportunity while it's available. And then you can get the bonuses and the upgrades that I continue to add to the program in the future. These were awesome questions. So keep them coming. If you do sign up, like send me more questions, post in the group. Yeah, because this is the kind of discussion that we need to continue to have to keep ourselves relevant. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to thank you all for coming. So you can go to www.stephjackson.com/FPF. Rutgers typed it in to the comments there. Yeah, and sign up, send us a message, introduce yourself. Paul JD. Thank you to all the guests whose names I don't know. Those were really awesome questions. I would say that like a third of the people a third of the people in the program are like not active practitioners right now. They're just like, they need more information. They need more information. They're putting together their own healing protocol. And honestly, I think for this investment, it's definitely worth it to do it for yourself. I think that most of the people in the program are healers of sorts, though. Like if you're continuing to excavate what needs to be upgraded in your own health, I think it's still the same mindset. It's still the same thing, whether you're working on your body or on somebody else's. And this is really an investment in your energy, in your family, in your microbiome, right? So yeah, cool. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Sandy. JD. Thank you, Laura, for being here. Thank you, Jan. Yeah, awesome. Denise, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the yogurt question. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Carol. Thank you for those of you that have signed up. I see you on there. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll check you later. I'll see you in the program. Yeah, please sign up. Please stay in touch. Stay in touch either way. I love your questions, and I love spending this time. So thank you. Bye, Carol. Bye, Laura. Yeah. Links in the comments.